It's always risky to take a widely beloved show and spin it off into a new series, but when it goes right, it produces a show like Better Call Saul. Even though its predecessor, Breaking Bad, still consistently ranks among the best TV shows of all time, making an entire prequel series focused on Bob Odenkirk's crooked lawyer Saul Goodman was originally seen as a gamble. However, 6 seasons later, Better Call Saul proved naysayers wrong. Breaking Bad aired in an era when television characters were too squeaky clean. Instead, it followed in the footsteps of shows like The Sopranos, framing an anti-hero as its protagonist. By turning mild-mannered Walter White into criminal Emperor Heisenberg, Vince Gilligan and the writers weaved a tragic web over the course of the original series. Better Call Saul, which could have chosen to reheat Breaking Bad's nachos, not only fleshed out the original series world but also added depth that went unrecognized in Walter White and his peers. Though some may view Better Call Saul as a stroke of luck, in reality, it's the key to understanding the entire Breaking Bad franchise. It may seem like sacrilege to label a spin-off/prequel superior to the original, but, in a few years, it won't be controversial to say that Better Call Saul deserved at least as many Emmys as the original show was awarded, if not more. Future generations won't have the same attachment to Breaking Bad. When Breaking Bad first aired, it wasn't considered appointment TV like it was by the end. The AMC series took time to amass its mainstream audience, whereas Better Call Saul mainly had to coast off viewers who had already seen Breaking Bad and were willing to give the spin-off a chance. Many will probably be tempted to consider Better Call Saul only as good as Breaking Bad, since the original show is what they fell in love with. But with time comes objectivity, and audiences will likely soon view the entire Breaking Bad universe as a completed body of work. Without nostalgia clouding people's judgment, viewers will come to see that Breaking Bad's successor is more unpredictable in its narrative, with better characters, storytelling, and stakes than they may have noticed upon first watch, all of which improve Breaking Bad's story, rather than diminish it. Better Call Saul is more polished than Breaking Bad. Though Breaking Bad's best episodes are also among the best TV episodes ever made, it's also inconsistently paced compared to Better Call Saul. Coming off the last season of Breaking Bad, which surprisingly stuck the landing after killing off its best villain at the end of Season 4, Better Call Saul is confident in its pace from the very start. Jimmy McGill's transformation into Saul Goodman is a slow burn, but it becomes all the more satisfying as the series inches closer to the beginning of Breaking Bad. Additionally, Better Call Saul showcases much more finesse in its directorial style. Saul favors flashy montages, tonal shifts, and extended periods of dialogue-less action. It's almost as if Breaking Bad was the test run for the writer's room, and by the time they got to Better Call Saul, they had the necessary experience to take more stylistic risks than Breaking Bad ever did. By the final season of Better Call Saul, there's no need to question whether the show will have a satisfying conclusion, and it still manages a welcome surprise ending. Jimmy McGill and Kim Wexler are more complex characters than Walt and Jesse. Really, comparing the character arcs of Jimmy and Kim in Better Call Saul to Walt and Jesse in Breaking Bad is like comparing apples and oranges. Walt and Jesse have a toxic father-son relationship that changes from season to season, but despite all the bad blood between them, Walt finds it in himself to save Jesse's life in the show's final moments. The last look they share recognizes this final act of grace, though it doesn't allow forgiveness for all the cruelty Walt shows Jesse throughout the series. Jimmy and Kim, on the other hand, share a beautiful, tragic love story, despite Jimmy's descent into criminality and Kim's reluctance to follow him. Whereas we root for Jesse to drive away at the end of Breaking Bad, there's a bittersweetness to the idea that Jimmy and Kim can't be together at the end of Better Call Saul. To a certain degree, Kim Wexler's story in Better Call Saul mirrors Jesse's in Breaking Bad, with the final season testing their relationship and fully sending Jimmy into the dark side without her, just as Jesse and Walt enter Saul Goodman's life. However, in the final scenes of Saul, it doesn't feel out of character for Kim and Jimmy to share a quiet cigarette, unlike when Walt spontaneously saves Jesse's life. It's the culmination of a series-long romance that, as Kim tells Jimmy, is bad for everyone around them, even though it's deeply loving. From a certain point of view, Jimmy is the franchise's real main character. Even though Saul Goodman doesn't appear until Season 2 of Breaking Bad, as Jimmy McGill says himself in the series finale of Better Call Saul, Walter White might have stayed an amateur meth cook were it not for him. The final episodes of Better Call Saul recontextualize exactly why Saul feels the need to offer his services to Heisenberg, recognizing the potential for fortune and disregarding Mike Ehrmantraut's undeniably wise warning against getting involved with an egomaniacal cancer patient. Bob Odenkirk's best dramatic moments in Better Call Saul are essential to understanding how his character behaves in Breaking Bad. Likewise, Bryan Cranston's appearances in Better Call Saul, including one where Saul goads Walt into talking about his regrets rather than making disruptive noise trying to fix a pipe, are just as important in understanding who Heisenberg really was, a gadfly Saul manipulated into becoming a kingpin. Better Call Saul will hopefully someday earn the respect it deserves, not just for knocking it out of the park as a successor to one of TV's most beloved dramas, but also for completely reframing the story of the entire Breaking Bad universe. It's not a tragedy about a petulant chemistry teacher destroying the lives of everyone around him, but a story about how that teacher's corrupt lawyer, with a lot of blood on his hands, is finally convinced to do the right thing because of love.